All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's give it a moment here to make sure we have a signal. Do we have transmission? Looks like we do. All right. Without any further ado, this is your host, Joe Imbriano, the Fullerton Informer, coming to you live from the busted up streets of Fullerton, California on this Friday, November 4th, 2022. Under a chemtrail haze sky, mid-50s here, a little sunny. Glad to be with you. Hopefully you're enjoying your Friday morning, afternoon, or evening, wherever you are on the face of this plane, right? All right, so I want to talk to you about a topic that, I keep getting people sending me stuff, and, I've watched a lot of information about this phenomenon that is called vaccine shedding, right? Now, over the years, I've had my share of pets, right? Parakeets, hamsters, mice, rats, guinea pigs, and even lived with a guy for a while that had a pet snake. It'd come out of the wall heater after it was done hibernating over the winter. Look, folks, stuff sheds, don't get me wrong. Just ask my wife, right? She's always brushing the dandruff off my shoulder, right? Like as if I've got this major problem, right? A couple little white specks. And it's time for Head and Shoulders, so all my head can end up on my shoulders and in the shower drain, right? No, folks. So there's a lot of talk in the circles out there of people getting ill from being around vaccinated people. I'm just going to tell you what I know, all right? I'm not vaccinated. No one in my family is vaccinated. No one in my circle of friends is vaccinated. No one that I know personally, that I spend a lot of up close and personal time with, has been vaccinated. And all of my family are constantly around vaccinated people. I'm constantly around vaccinated people everywhere I go. No one in my family wears a mask. I never wear a mask. My family, they go about their lives with their jobs and their school and their social life and their shopping out in public. I'll be honest with you, our lives have not changed. They've gone on just like they always have in terms of our personal, the way we conduct ourselves. Look, we don't use hand sanitizer or any of that stuff. Folks, nothing's changed and no one is sick, okay? None of my children have been sick. One of my sons worked retail for years through this so-called pandemic, never wore a mask, and if he was forced to put one on, he kept it below his nose or whatever. My point is, nobody's sick, okay? So when you tell me that you're going to get some sort of an illness from being around vaccinated people, I would like to know what the heck you're talking about, all right? Now, I've traveled throughout this, this whole ordeal, made multiple trips on airplanes, stayed at multiple hotels, ate at multiple restaurants, and continued shopping in places like thrift stores and Home Depot and grocery stores, and all over the place. Honestly, I probably don't wash my hands when I come home. It's just not a habit, to be honest with you. I remember a couple of years ago we had really sick in the wintertime. They all had been coughing, and it had been raining nonstop for almost a month in December. I think it was 2018. And everybody in my office was coughing and sick, and staying home, and I put my hand on the doorknob to the lunchroom, and I said, watch this, and I licked my hand, and everybody freaked out. They're like, what are you doing? I remember during this pandemic thing, I was at Smart and Final, which is a grocery outlet, trying to talk to the guy rounding up all the shopping carts, right? And he was like, he had his mask on, he was staying away, he was spraying these things. I'm like, I told him what I thought of it, and I proceeded to lick the shopping cart handle right in front of this guy, right? Folks, I don't know what you're talking about when you're getting sick from being around other people. It's very possible you're getting sick from what you're doing to yourself, okay? Now, I don't know anybody that's had their menstrual cycle affected by being around vaccinated people, although I can tell you that your menstrual cycle can be affected by your emotions, by the television programming you're watching, and by the fluctuation of the hormones in the dairy products you're consuming, the concentrations of the hormones in the dairy products you're consuming. I mean, your menstrual cycle is not something that is going to be completely regular unless your stress level and your hormone level and your overall quality of life level is consistent. Changes in the amount of daylight, changes in your blood pressure, changes in your sleep pattern, changes in the hormone level of your diet, with all the fake food that's being put in you, the phytoestrogens. There's a lot of things. There's a lot of things, folks. I'm just not buying into this one, all right? You need to understand that the whole shedding narrative is a construct that is... Let me tell you why that this narrative's out there, folks, okay? The reason that the narrative is out there, and this is a very important point, I want you to listen to me. The reason that it's been put out there and is being put out there by these disinformation agents is because the shedding narrative bolsters the germ theory, okay? It gives legitimacy and credence and support to the theory that you can get sick from catching something, okay? And that is the reason why it is being continued to be supported by the usual suspects, right? Now, I know people who tell me, oh yeah, Joe, we all caught this, oh really? Y'all got sick, huh? Okay, all at the same time? Yep. Well, what's in your refrigerator? Boston cream pie? You know, Dolly Madison in the cupboard? And the heater's on full blast, and there's a Wi-Fi router in every room? And, you know, you got those dryer sheets that make your clothes all fluffy and smelly, right? Yeah. And, you know, you got those Clorox wipes wiping everything down. And you're using all these household chemicals and disinfectants on everything. And you guys are using your dishwasher with the toxic dishwasher soap. And you've sealed up all the windows in the house and turned on the heater. And y'all got sick, huh? Y'all caught something, didn't you? Yeah, y'all caught the stupid bug, okay? That's what you got. It's called poisoning yourself and hermetically sealing yourself in the chamber. That's how y'all get sick at the same time. Or maybe you don't get sick at the same time. Maybe one of your children is sick and the rest of you aren't. Maybe that's because one of your children's in a weaponized classroom, being exposed to weaponized Wi-Fi, eating weaponized food on the school lunch program, breathing weaponized air coming through the air ventilation systems from the school district, and you're not. You ever think about that? The well poisoners are alive and well, folks, and you know, it doesn't have to be the water. It could be the air. It could be the Twinkies. I mean, there's so many ways someone's sick. You can poison their air, you could poison their water, or you could poison their food, or you could poison their bloodstream. And all of those can be accomplished by everything that has been invented and rolled out and present in most people's lives. The terrain is everything, folks. I mean, I'll be honest with you. I don't know what else to say except that this whole shedding thing is just another leg to give support to the germ theory. Okay, and the germ theory is the theory that there are these microscopic things like viruses that can travel through time and space and go up your nose and go into your body and take over and make you sick and die. Okay, and I think the more people hear about things like, it all started with this Kaufman clown, with the Kaufman and Cowan, the tag team. The tag team circus clowns that gave us this exosome nonsense, right? And that 5G was causing exosomes, right? As if going down the road, when I go under a cell tower, my BMW starts throwing off parts like the valve cover gasket and the intake manifold bolt and, the weld on the catalytic converter and one of the spark plug wires and one of the injectors unscrews and flies out. And, the lid to my battery that keeps the acid in, falls off. As I'm going down the road, the car's just throwing off all these parts, right? And there's gasoline flying out of the gas tank. And that's supposedly what happens to us when we give off parts. Our body throws off waste, folks. It's called urine, it's called feces, and it's called exhaling, and it's called sweat. And if you're really sick, it's called vomit and diarrhea, okay? But your skin's not releasing all these microscopic particles that are jumping on other people like a flea and digging in. Come on. Because if that were the case, folks, you need to understand, they will never release something that they can't control. They will never let a genie out of the bottle that they can't put back in. All right? Those are facts, folks. They will never let something out of the bottle that they can't control. Now, if you believe in these fairy tale bioweapons lab release stories and the monkeys in Pennsylvania and the monkeys in Marburg and the monkeys in Ghana and the bats in Wudon or Wugong or whatever that, folks, honestly, I know people that drive around in their car with their windows rolled up and their weaponized heater on, weaponized air conditioning. Your fancy cars got these bipolar ionization air purifiers. Do you know what it's like to breathe free radical oxygen molecules? That's all you hear about is free radical damage, right? And that's why they sell you these antioxidant supplements on the circus clown channels. You got all these pills that are supposed to make you young again, right? Bunch of nonsense. Folks, your environment's everything. And if you don't get enough sunlight and you're stressed out over the interest rates and you're worried about your children failing a stupid math class, even though it doesn't matter, your menstrual cycle is going to get thrown off from stress. Women are emotional. And guys, can I tell you something? If you haven't already figured this out, for those of you who are blessed to have a good woman in your life, let me tell you the worst thing you can do to a woman, that's stress her out, okay? Make her upset. And I'm not an angel, folks. Look, I'm a man. I succumb to pressures, and I have to deal with reality, and I got to lay the gauntlet down once in a while. But my point is if you want a woman's menstrual cycle to be thrown off, stress her out. If you want her menstrual cycle to be thrown off, it has nothing to do with being around vaccinated people, okay? I mean, come on, seriously. Now, they can put something in your body that'll throw your menstrual cycle off. I mean, for crying out loud, look what the birth control pill does. I mean, Folks, it can be done pharmacologically. It can be induced through light pollution, light frequency manipulation. It can be done electromagnetically. All you have to do to throw off someone's menstrual cycle is to throw off their sleep cycle by microwaving their environment, to throw off their circadian rhythm by exposing them to microwave radiation that suppresses melatonin production. Folks, you got to stop believing in these fairy tales that justify the existence of and bolster the narrative of the existence of the ultimate fairy tales, which is what they're using to destroy our lives and our existence and our chances of our children having a future with medical tyranny based on the germ theory. The more you parrot the lies, and the more you become unwise in following these lies and believing the deception, the more of a foundation you're laying for our guaranteed destruction, folks. They're going to come out with very sophisticated propaganda campaigns where, they can green screen a bunch of funerals. They can make the body stack up on a green screen. They can do anything they want. They could put my head on a monkey and tell us that they've created a hybrid creature. And most people would suck their thumb with a Hot Pocket wrapped up in their warm little blankie next to their Wi-Fi router and believe it. That's my point, folks. Why would you want to personally shut your conscience and your logical thought process down in the middle of it? Why won't you wake up, open your eyes, and face the reality that it's all lies, right? Because you want to be spoon-fed instead of open your eyes and read and study for yourself and use critical thinking skills for yourself. One of my children worked at a retail store for quite some time throughout this whole thing, and he would come home and we'd laugh about it, right? There's these people that would wear these hazmat suits, or they'd be in there with dishwashing gloves and masks, 2 masks, goggles. These people, some of them come in with a face shield, goggles, and 2 masks and gloves, and they'd want their stuff delivered to them in the parking lot, right? And here he is, go to the bathroom, coming home. Stocking shelves, whatever, working a cash register, touching money, touching bags, touching shopping carts, and he'd come home and he'd go straight to the dinner table and put the food in his mouth. Sometimes he'd wash his hands. He's never been sick. Oh, did I mention that he's never been vaccinated with any vaccine, right? Not one. I drive these 4-cylinder German cars for a variety of reasons. I'm driving a 1994 BMW 318i convertible, right? This is a 4-cylinder German engine, right? And I'm going to tell you something. I've got a couple of these jalopies. And you want to know why? I'll tell you why. Because if you get your hands on one of these 318i's from the early 90s, that is fully stock and has never been messed with, that, someone didn't punch the exhaust on and throw a chip in and, mess with the intake, and, the car will run for 300,000 miles. And, if it's a manual transmission and they never punched it and jumped on it, the transmission will run for 300,000 miles. As long as you put mid-grade gas in the thing and synthetic oil in the thing and keep the air filter clean, the thing will run for hundreds of thousands of miles. It will never throw a rod. It will never burn a valve. The head gasket will not blow. You will not have the main bearing go. The timing chain will not get sloppy on you. These things, if they're left to run the way they were meant to run by the engineer that designed them, they will not stop running. Did you know your body is the same thing, except it's a million quadrillion times more incredible than some stupid car? If you would just put what it's supposed to have put in it, and don't put things in it that don't belong in it, and don't stick ball bearings in the crankcase, and don't stick sugar cubes in the gas tank. Why do you do things to your body that are so unnatural and expect it to make you healthier? And why do you believe these fairy tales about catching cooties from some stranger when you go home to a weaponized environment that no one's telling you is weaponized? And yet these circus clowns are making you afraid of a cooties game, and they're not calling out the weapons that you brought home from Best Buy or ordered from an Amazon box or brought home from Whole Foods or any. Come on, folks. You know, everybody I know is got the same problem today, folks. You know, we're all in this boat together. You know, they got us working for debt notes. They got us all in debt, and they're poisoning our minds. They're poisoning our food. They're poisoning our water. They're trying to poison our soul and our spirit. And I get it. It's a struggle, you know. It's a lucha, as they say in Spanish. You know, it's a fight. It's a fight to stay up, to keep your head above water. And if you're raising a family, it's a fight with the children to do what they're expected to do. And if you've got a marriage, it's a fight to keep it together financially and emotionally, and against all the problems and temptations that come with the territory of trying to stay married, right? Well, I want to tell you something. The yoke of Jesus Christ is easy, and if you cast your cares upon him and live for him and live for his way, right? If you live by his way and in his way, you'll be under his hedge of protection, and you won't worry as much, because if you're doing what's right and if you're doing the best you can and you've involved him as a lens and a filter for all your actions and judgments and decisions, you know, it makes things a lot easier, because his will be done if you let his will be done, right? You know, if you take a big load off your shoulder if you just clean it up, right? But see, the average person is in such a death spiral from all the stress and slavery. And don't kid yourself, folks, I'm in the same rat race, okay? You know, I don't have some magic ball, crystal ball that's going to tell me what the lottery numbers are. You know, I got to punch the clock just like everybody else, okay? I haven't got this thing licked, and you know, I'm just raising a family, and I'm trying to go through the motions and try to help as many people as I can, so that at the end of the day, if my soul is required of me, you know what's going to be told to me? Well done, good and faithful servant. Come inherit what has been prepared for you before the foundations of the earth were laid. And you know what I'm going to say? I'll take it. Thank you, sir. We've got to continue to break through the lies and disinformation that are being spoon-fed to the masses and wake people up one person at a time. And you do not need to be afraid of catching cooties, okay? I'm really sick of this cooties game, because quite frankly, that's what it is, that's what it was, and that's what it's still going to be. Because whether they come up with some new cooties that makes you bleed out your ears or your nose, or makes you puke this or that or the other, or just fake the whole thing on television with a bunch of ambulances running around and people with dishwashing gloves and blue moo-moos running around with a bunch of masks on. I don't know what their next move is going to be. I think it's Marburg. I've talked about this, but you know, they've got all these different cooties games planned. You know, it's like the toy section when my children were young. You know, I would always buy them board games to make sure that they kept themselves occupied and constructive, right? And you know, you go to the back of these retail stores, and they had all these board games and all these toys, right? And you know, there's all these games that they have children play, and yet when we're adults, they have all these games that they play on us, right? And that is cooties. Cooties is probably the biggest game that they've continued to play. Like, oh, I touched you, I got cooties. Now you got cooties. Oh, if I touch you, you got cooties, right? And yet, I drive around and I see people with masks on in their cars with their windows rolled up. And I drive around and I see people walking down the street with AirPods on, sunglasses on, a mask on, a hat on, gloves on, rubber shoes on. So they can't get the electrons from the earth. They can't get the fresh air from the plants. They can't get the sunlight through their eyes from the sun. And they're being triangulated and beamformed with the weaponized frequencies with the AirPods. And, I wonder if they just got back from the doctor's office with the latest and greatest round of injections for their bloodstream. Is that my fault? Is that my problem? No, it's not my fault. Yes, it's my problem, because you want to know something? Jesus said, greater love has no man that he'd lay his life down for his neighbor, right? For his friend, right? For those in need, right? Who's our neighbor? Who's our friend? It's those in need. The people that are being beaten up and robbed and left by the side of the road, those are the people in need, okay? And those are the average, everyday people that are being abused by this system and being taken advantage and having their life, their spirit, their soul, their resources, their time, their health, their joy, their happiness, their progeny, and their fecundity stolen by the deniers of Jesus Christ in a satanic, hellish dash for the finish line for these people to inherit eternal life with the demons, right? And that's their plan. My duty as a Christian and as a follower of Jesus Christ is that in every free moment I get, every chance I get, every step of the way, that my whole intent in life is to thwart all of those intentions with every ounce of my being, with every aspect of my ability, with every possible intent of the heart. Folks, you need to understand something, that everything we do, we have to do through the lens of looking at how he would handle the situation. Do you understand me? What would he do? No. How would he act, and what would he do about this? Those are the facts, folks. We can't just go through life just worrying about, oh, my next vacation, oh, the retirement, oh, the college for junior, oh, this and that, oh, the next, I got to get a new car, oh, let's go to the car wash today, oh, let's brag about how Tony, got the most stars on his name on the chalkboard. I mean, come on, folks. I've got news for you. Folks. We can't lose, and they can't win. And you want to know why I know this? Because the one we follow has the keys to death and hell and the keys to life. And guess what, folks? We're already signed up. We're already in the book. We already got our tickets, okay? Jesus is the way, the truth, and the life. No one comes to the Father but through him, okay? Good luck any other way, and keep deceiving yourself if you want to try, but you're going to fail. All right, this is Joe Imbriano, another broadcast of the Fullerton Informer, P.O. Box 4121, Fullerton, California, 92834. On the web at thefullertoninformer.com, 5gdangers.com, vaxdangers.com, and celltowerdangers.com. Keep your eyes and ears open, folks. Great to hear from you today. Thank you for tuning in. We'll keep these backup channels going. Take care now.